I saw Seth's Brutus driver standing next to the SUV as if waiting. "Hey, what's your boss's number? I need to call him," I said desperately. "I'm not supposed to give out his personal number, so I'm not. I'm here to take you and the lady back, that's all," said the bigger man. He had a calm demeanor, as if my urgency was irrelevant to him. He opened the door to the back seat. "Do you want to go back?" he asked without any fanfare. "Did you see where the woman I came with went?" "Yes," he said without skipping a beat, but he didn't say anything else. I waited a few moments for him to respond, but got the impression he didn't intend to. "Well, where did he go?" I asked with a bit more aggression than I needed to. "With Mr. Gondry." "Okay, where?" "Even if I knew, I wouldn't tell you," he said back. "Do you want to ride?" I begrudgingly got in the SUV. The big brute got to the driver's seat and began heading back to Zancudos. I was on and off my phone attempting to text or call Harlii. It wasn't that she was off on her own that bothered me. It was that it was with that guy. She wouldn't have up and left me no matter how excited she was or wasn't. I noticed that the car was slowing down, and I tore my gaze away from my phone. "What's happening?" I asked the driver. "Flat tire," he said. I didn't feel us riding any different, but the sensors on some of these cars nowadays could catch problems far before it got to the point we were skidding off the road. He hopped out and opened the back hatch. I was so antsy that I got out of the car myself, figuring that maybe there was something I could do to help that would make this go faster. I did a circuit around the massive vehicle, and I couldn't even tell which one of the tires was low, let alone flat. The moment I ventured to the back and turned towards the open hatch, I saw a tire iron sailing down from my head. I could never call myself an expert at combat by any means, but I knew this and that from here and there. I had the knowledge of many failed attempts to learn. I was already wired and alert because of the prospect of Harlii missing, so I was hyper-aware on top of everything. I fell backwards, narrowly dodging a blow that was, in no uncertain terms, clearly death. The driver was the culprit, and he was none too happy that he missed and blew the element of surprise. I picked myself up as fast as I could, because he didn't stop once he started. He swung again and again, each blow capable of my doom. I was perpetually on the back foot. After the initial onslaught, I managed to fully scramble to my feet and right myself. I didn't waste a moment of time, and I ran. The big man followed me with all the convictions of a horror movie slasher. If Harlii's life wasn't potentially on the line, I would have just ran my top speed and blew the doors off this guy, but seeing that it was, I had something else in mind. He was bigger than me, but clearly slower. I ran several times a week, and I couldn't picture a world that he could beat me in a foot race on an open straightaway. I waited for him. I let him get just close enough that he thought he could catch me. I didn't want him to lose track of me and wander back to the car. I stayed a few steps ahead of him, but I watched him carefully. We had ran approximately 2 city blocks, maybe a quarter of a mile before I saw him tiring. I smiled. When I saw his hands getting heavy and sweat beading up is when I turned around and staged my counterattack. He didn't see it coming, and he was so tired that even if he did, his reaction time would be off. I pushed him with 2 hands. His eyes widened as he stumbled and slid off the darkened road down an incline. I didn't wait. I didn't let him catch his breath. I ran down the slope with him as he tried to right himself. I dove for his pants, not the tire iron, and predictably he went for the kill blow with the metal rod overprotecting his pocket. If I timed it correctly, the first blow was the one I had to watch. There was a 50-50 chance I was going to get it right, and after the first attempt, I would not get another one. He awkwardly swung at my head from his prone position. The blow grazed my shoulder, and I grit my teeth in pain. But my gamble paid off, and I had his car keys. He hopped to his feet, realizing what I took, and made a desperate lunge for me. It was already too late for him. I was half a block back to the car by the time he took 3 steps. He huffed after me, but I didn't bother looking back. I made it back to the SUV, and I guessed I had a solid minute head start. I tore ass back to our motel room first, just on the very off chance Harley was there for some reason. When I got to the motel room, Hercules was waiting patiently, staring at the door for our return. I grabbed all the shit I had packed for our trek through the woods and hopped back to the SUV. Hercules ran with me, sensing my urgency. I let him in. What the hell, why not? We both didn't like Seth's ass anyway. At least we were united in that. I drove to Seth's house at breakneck speeds. I know Harley wasn't a fan of me carrying a gun, but I'm pretty sure she'd give me a pass in this case. Me and Hercules got to the house. For a moment, and I mean a split second, I thought maybe it was a misunderstanding. But I couldn't throw out the realization that Gondry's henchman came after me. He had to have wanted me out of the picture. I hoped that Seth just assumed that his plan went off without a hitch and he wasn't waiting for me because the brute only had to make a phone call to his boss. I had to be ready for anything. I savagely attacked the door, kicking it off the hinges. I had absolutely no combat training, so I started sweeping the room like someone who had seen a lot of movies. The space was empty. It was sterile and neat, with a sheen of dust over the furniture as if it hadn't been disturbed in some time. I started with the basement, figuring that if there was freaky shit to be had, that was the first place it'd be. There was nothing there. It was downright boring. No pentagrams, no blood in the refrigerators, or little innocuous clues that would light a fire under some plucky investigator's ass. I looked to Hercules, and he looked just as miffed as I was. We ventured outside and took a moment to think. I turned on my body cam, just in case I saw something that I may need to figure out later. Me and Hercules pushed into the woods.